Emel opened fire on the officer, striking and killing the officer.
A routine 911 call ends in tragedy. 2 police officers killed, a deputy and K-9 recovering.
What we're learning about the gunman and the moments leading up to this deadly ambush.
Plus, tragedy inside a family home. Flames tear through a 3-story house overnight, leaving 2 children and 2 adults dead. 5 others rushed to the hospital and neighbors forced to flee as firefighters battled intense flames. What we know about the victims and the investigation into what sparked the deadly fire.
Texas Democrats are headed home after a dramatic 2-week walkout. The fight over congressional maps, plus why their return could spark an even bigger political fight over redistricting and the political control. Well, welcome into news streaming. This news streaming newscast, WTOL 11 Plus now. It is a fresh, fast-paced 30-minute newscast built for streaming. I'm Jeff Smith.
And I'm Kaylee Marantat. We're talking exclusive content with you that you won't see on traditional broadcasts, delivered in a conversational style for cord cutters, smart TV viewers, and anyone who wants more from local news. Our top story tonight. Today marks 1 year since police found a missing Michigan woman's body inside a fertilizer tank on property belonging to her husband. Now, he's charged with murder and is scheduled to go on trial next year. Megan Hartnett sat down with her family 1 year after the disturbing discovery.
After years of searches through marshes and acres of land, with cadaver dogs and ground-penetrating radar, Dee Warner's body was found in a tank on a property owned by her husband, Dale Warner, in August of last year.
It was certainly tough for the family to face my sister's remains in a man-made tomb.
Dee's family's priority hasn't changed since then. Greg Hardy, Dee's brother, says the goal is to bring the case to trial in search of justice.
You can bring that to some closure with a celebration of life, a burial, whatever. And in this particular case, it doesn't come to an end because we're still waiting and waiting.
Dale Warner was charged with Dee's murder in November of 2023, and in June of 2024, a judge determined that there was enough evidence for the case to go to trial. After Dee's remains were found in August of 2024, Dale has appeared in court since for hearings, but the trial originally scheduled for September has been delayed to January of next year.
It's just been a very, very long journey. And it isn't over yet. When you have the legal maneuvering that just delays and delays and delays.
Jaron Warner, Dale's son, was also arrested and charged with accessory after the fact and tampering with evidence in March of this year. But those charges were eventually dropped. Court records say it was because authorities were unable to locate and serve a necessary witness. Despite the delays and changes, Hardy says the goal is still justice, no matter how hard it may be.
All this time is always agonizing. You know, it is waiting for the next shoe to drop, waiting for anticipating what may or may not take place.
Megan is joining us here in studio. Megan, we just heard this. It's hard to believe it's been 1 year already since Dee's body was found. You were actually called up to Lenawee County to cover this story the day of. What do you remember from that day?
I mean, it was a Sunday. I remember getting the call and coming in and immediately reaching out to the family. I went up to Lenawee County. I spoke with Greg Hardy, Dee's brother, and you know, I think at that point for him, he was still in shock. But he did say right away, he said, because the body hadn't been identified yet as Dee's, they still hadn't done the autopsy yet, but he said, you know, I know it's her. I also spoke with Catherine, the family friend, who had very similar feelings and even went to the property where her body was found. And I mean, there wasn't as much activity going on there, but I think for the family and the friends, I mean, it was 3 years of waiting and not even knowing if they were going to get these answers. And then to finally have it, I think it took a while to just process it on that day.
It has been a long, grueling 3 years for the family. And they've said this whole time is justice for Dee. That's kind of been their slogan. Justice has kind of been delayed for the family in a way with this trial. Can you talk about all the obstacles that have happened in the court system?
I mean, some of this has been going on from the beginning. One of the biggest things for them was being able to declare her legally dead because they didn't have her body. And they were prepared to go to trial without a body and just see what happened. I mean, they felt that there was enough evidence. Police felt there was enough evidence. You know, the case also switched hands from the sheriff's office to the Michigan State Police. There just felt like there was continued delays. And, they finally found her body. And even over this past year, though, there's been more delays as the trial was originally scheduled to start next month. But now it's been pushed back to January. And there's just been small things like that for the family, especially Greg, her brother, he talks about just the amount of time that has been put into this. And he says, that's the hardest part, I think, of all of it, for him at least.
Of course, yeah. Megan Hartnett on this story pretty much since Dee's body has been found. Thank you for joining us tonight in studio. We will continue to follow the story of Dee as this follows through the legal system.
Well, tonight we're tracking your top stories across the country as well and around the globe for that matter. We start with Hurricane Erin. It is churning in the Atlantic, threatening the East Coast with heavy rain and strong wind. We bounce down to Connecticut and a deadly overnight house fire that left multiple people dead, and investigators are still at this hour looking for a cause. In Texas, Democrats are headed back to the State House, reigniting the battle over new congressional maps that could reshape political power. And then overseas, the war in Ukraine grinds on with Russian forces pushing in the east while Kyiv pleads for more U.S. aid. All right, let's go to Utah now. 2 police officers dead and a deputy hurt after responding to a domestic violence incident. It happened around 9 o'clock last night. Authorities say somebody kept calling 911 and hanging up. An officer went out and talked to somebody at the home, and then investigators say a man came out and started shooting.
After firing upon these officers and police service dog, the suspect was convinced to put down his weapon by bystanders, and he was immediately taken into custody by additional responding officers. These officers and their families served their community every day and will forever be remembered as heroes.
In addition to the 2 officers killed, a sheriff's deputy and police canine are recovering tonight. Hurricane Erin tracking through the Atlantic, and while it is not expected to make landfall, tropical storm warnings are in effect in Turks and Caicos and in the Bahamas. Outer bands hit Puerto Rico over the weekend, dumping heavy rain and prompting flooding. Bermuda and much of the U.S. East Coast will see rough waters and large swells starting tomorrow. The storm rapidly intensified between Friday and Saturday, marking one of the fastest strengthening storms on record. A tragic scene in Hartford, Connecticut overnight. 4 people are dead and 5 others hurt after a massive house fire. Flames tearing through this home around 2:30 in the morning. A firefighter was also injured after falling downstairs, but is expected to be okay. Neighbors had to evacuate, and the cause is still under investigation. Texas House Democrats are headed home after 2 weeks of protest over redistricting. Lawmakers boarded a plane in Chicago this morning after holding out for 15 days. They fled Texas to block a Republican-led plan to redraw congressional maps, which could add 5 GOP-leaning seats before the midterms. Governor Greg Abbott called lawmakers back for another session starting this afternoon.
It's impossible to do this under the pressure of weapons. So it's necessary to cease fire and work quickly on a final deal.
Ukraine's president joined President Trump and other world leaders at the White House earlier today. The goal to find a path to peace in Ukraine. As you heard, Volodymyr Zelensky says that peace must be found first, including a ceasefire. President Trump met with Russia's president in Alaska over the weekend. He says progress was made and posted Ukraine should give up Crimea and abandon hopes of joining NATO to end the war.
He's been tossed. He is yelling at Joey Estes.
Next on Now, what led up to this on the field? How a recovery in the minor leagues ended up with a major tempers flaring. Plus, it's an unlikely combination, one lovingly called the hipster beer. The other, known for comfort food, even canned right here in Northwest Ohio. What happens when beer and soup come together, Chris?
All right, cheers to that. We're going to be looking at our chance of some rain showing up in our forecast for Tuesday. I'm going to break this down in my hour-by-hour forecast. That coming up right after this.
Right now, you can check out what's trending on all of our WTOL 11 social media platforms. We're on YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook, and TikTok. And one of the stories getting a lot of views tonight is on our WTOL 11 TikTok. And it's local news you won't get anywhere else.
Michigan High School's wrestling program is under a Title IX investigation because of some pretty intense harassment claims. Connor Kiernan wrestled for Dundee schools for years. He says he endured violence and bullying from his own teammates. He even claims he was knocked unconscious in a hallway after being hit in the head with a chair. He has since left Dundee schools. And this isn't the first time the program has faced accusations. Back in April, an anonymous email to the superintendent alleged bullying and sexual harassment. By May, the principal confirmed a Title IX investigation. But here's the twist. Despite all of this, the wrestling team is still able to practice. The superintendent says he made that decision since most of the wrestlers are not involved in the investigation.
You can find the full story at the link on our WTOL 11 TikTok page or by heading to our website, WTOL.com. Well, Seattle Mariners outfielder Victor Roble is making headlines, but not for his swing. While rehabbing in the minors, Roble was hit by a pitch from Las Vegas starter Joey Estes.
And the first pitch from Estes. Swung on and fouled off on a pitch that hit him. He picks up the bat and throws it at Estes. He's been tossed.
As you just saw, Roble was hit by the pitch. That outburst earned him an immediate ejection from the game. Robles wasn't done. He later stormed the dugout and tossed a cooler onto the field. Robles is working his way back to Seattle and the MLB, but Major League Baseball could now step in with discipline for his actions. Well, from baseball to football, kickoff of the regular season is almost here. And how's this sound, Jeff? Campbell's Chunky Soup is teaming up with a brand you might not expect, Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. The collaboration resulted in 2 soups infused with PBR flavor. Beer cheese with potatoes and chorizo, and beef bacon and beer chili with beans. There's no alcohol in it, and they'll be available at Walmart later this year.
I'm in.
You're in.
I mean, and I'll tell you something funny. When I was a kid and my parents used to take us to Spaghetti Warehouse downtown right here in Toledo, they had a beer chili sauce that they would put on spaghetti. And it was kind of the early, of a 3-way, like down with Cincinnati chili and spaghetti and cheese and onions and all that kind of stuff. But it was called beer chili, and it was delicious. And maybe the 10-year-old, 11-year-old Jeff Smith was like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll have the beer chili sauce. Why not?"
The shocking thing about this to me is you're telling me PBR has a taste to it?
Ooh,
well,
that's fair.
It depends. Like after 5 or 6,
So
it doesn't have, nothing has a taste anymore.
What exactly does that taste like, and what are you adding to your beer chili?
Thickness. Stock.
In concept, I like the idea.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd choose the PBR, though.
I'll tell you all how it is.
We digress, though. We're looking at weather for tonight, though. Rain-free across much of the area. Let's take you on over to the big weather maps here. We've got dry conditions across the area, and I know there's some areas that may be begging for that chance of rain, and there's very little to limited rain in sight. What we have west of us, much of this is going to be outrunning some of that support, will be fading away as it does make its way closer to us tonight. Now, there is going to be some chances of rain over the next 24 hours. I want to be holding on to anything significant, though, as we go through the hour-by-hour forecast. Talk more on that in a few moments. Dry weather on top of the radar, and our Monday evening, it has turned out to be quite nice. Temperature-wise, mid to upper 70s, where we've got a nice little lake breeze. Sandusky, Fremont through Toledo, Nottawassee, some lower 80s from Findlay over toward Defiance. You get the picture, pretty nice summer-feeling evening. Now, the rain chances, you're going to watch these west of us on the hour-by-hour forecast. Even through midnight, they're still holding together. It's after midnight. Kind of put the brakes on, don't they? They fade away very quickly as we go overnight into Tuesday morning. Now, we may still muster an isolated rain shower out there early Tuesday, but the better chance of rain mid to late morning through early afternoon, where that chance of rain could bring an isolated downpour and some brief gusty winds. We're not expecting any widespread strong or severe storms, and overall, areas that do get some rain, we'll call it some bonus rainfall. Then we're back to some clouds Tuesday night or early Wednesday as a few showers do taper off. Better chance of rain, maybe a round of some showers through about mid to late morning. And again, could spark an isolated shower or storm into the afternoon. Highs will reach into the mid 80s. Quick update on the tropics. Still have that major Category 4 hurricane This is Aaron making its way now off the eastern seaboard. So over the next 72 hours, not expected to make a direct impact. That's going to recurve somewhere between Bermuda and the Carolina coast as a significant hurricane. But it's going to generate a pretty massive wind field. So it's going to kick up the chop and the surf big time from the Atlantic. And you're going to hear about some big rip currents and coastal flooding issues. It could be taking place from the Carolinas all the way up into the mid-Atlantic. And again, not making a landfall. It recurves back off into the ocean, but something that will gather our attention as we do go into the week ahead. And our 10-day forecast has highs in the mid-80s as we get to Tuesday. That's going to be our chance of some scattered showers and storms. Beyond that, and I know many of us do need that rainfall. It's been a very dry month of August. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they're back toward dry conditions. Beyond that, we'll get a chance of some showers and storms on Saturday. Right around the mid-80s, Friday and into Saturday. Then a cold front, and watch this cold front. Look what it does next week, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I have a feeling here by late August, we're going to have the majority of our school districts back into class, and it will be dry and comfortable. Low humidity with temperatures in the upper 70s, and overnight lows late next week that could dip back into the low to mid 50s. A little bit of fall that may be in the air. Jeff, back over to you.
Racing fans turned heartbreak into tribute over the weekend. Thousands coming together to honor the late driver Robbie Brewer.
His signature color green and number 68 cover the stands and the tracks. Lauren Tier from our sister station in North Carolina takes us along for one final lap for a man so many say was truly one of a kind.
Emotions ran high tonight at Bowman Gray Stadium, where thousands gathered to watch some racing and honor driver Robbie Brewer. On shirts, stickers, balloons, and of course cars, everywhere you looked there was green and the number 68 as fans, vendors, and fellow drivers paid tribute exactly 1 week after Brewer's death. A moment of silence for number 68, a man loved and respected by fans and competitors alike. From the stands to the pits, nearly every corner of the stadium wore green, a tribute to Brewer's signature car color. Before tonight's race, fellow driver Brad Lewis prepared to get behind the wheel with one person on his mind.
He'd want everybody to enjoy themselves and not to make a big hoopla about him, but we're going to. I'm sorry, Robbie, but that's just the way it's going to be.
Lewis's kids also took to the track, and the whole family's cars carrying personal tributes to Brewer.
I've been saying that all week. We're racing for Robbie, and if you'll look inside my 16, there's a 68 inside the number.
Thousands of fans turned out, united in their celebration of Brewer's life.
He was a great guy off the racetrack and on the racetrack. When my kids were smaller, they always sat in his car, and he was just always very friendly. Wherever he went, he was a great guy.
Green, he was color, 68 was his number, so I made the t-shirts and thought that was good for his memory.
Chelsea Cranford and her group waited in line for S&P Lemonade. Tonight, the proceeds from the light-up cups will go to nonprofit Victory Junction in Brewer's honor. With friends and family at the bumper, Brewer's car took one final lap at Bowman Gray.
A lot of people say when someone passes that that was a good guy or they one of a kind, but I truly say there's no Robbie Brewers in this world. There's no more. Can't be, not like that guy.
Well, tonight fans made it clear Robbie Brewer may be gone, but his legacy will never leave the track.
Still ahead on WTOL 11 Plus, new details on a deadly crash, what we're learning about the incident on the Ohio Turnpike, and the unanswered questions remaining tonight.
Also, concerns over a creek, why some neighbors worry about what's flowing through the water and what the township is doing about it.
And a deadlock at City Council after failing to agree on who should fill an empty seat. Well, they're going to try again tonight, and the clock is ticking in before the mayor steps up.
Welcome back to WTOL 11 Plus. Now it is our new streaming newscast here on WTOL 11 Plus, and we're so glad that you're with us.
Let's get a check of those local headlines, including a meeting to determine mommy's future, and it's happening right now. It's decision day again in Maumee. City Council is in executive session now. Members tied once again on two candidates to fill the seat left vacant after Scott Noonan's resignation. Just last week, Council deadlocked 3-3, splitting the votes between Chelsea Zist, who's already on the November ballot, and Daniel Thomas, a longtime medical equipment delivery driver. If council can't reach a majority by Thursday, the mayor will step in and make the appointment.
4 people were killed in an early morning crash on the Ohio Turnpike. This was the scene. Later this morning, this crash happened at 4:30 in the morning in Sandusky County near Elmore. Troopers with the Ohio State Highway Patrol saying a semi-truck was traveling westbound when the driver hit a truck and continued off the road and into a concrete barrier. The 27-year-old driver, his 23-year-old passenger, and 2 children were killed. We are told the driver of the pickup truck will recover. The crash is still under investigation.
An update out of Wyandotte County. Crawford Township trustees are set to meet in about an hour to discuss community concerns after a creek turned bright red last week. The Ohio EPA says the discoloration came from a malfunctioning piece of farming equipment at a nearby hog farm. The malfunction caused liquid manure to spill into the waterways that flows from Poverty Run Creek, then Timakachi Creek, and eventually the Sandusky River. The Ohio EPA says the material is not hazardous and the color comes from naturally occurring bacteria, but neighbors say they've already seen fish killed and worry about wildlife and health risks from exposure to hog waste. Well, you'll soon see a familiar face campaigning for a seat in Washington, D.C. Democrat and former Senator Sherrod Brown officially launched his campaign for next year. The seat is currently held by Senator John Husted. Governor Mike DeWine appointed Husted after former Senator J.D. Vance moved to the vice president's office. Brown held the position for 3 terms since 2006, but lost to Senator Bernie Moreno in November. He served 3 terms in the Senate, first elected in 2006.
Well, thank you for being with us here on WTOL 11 Plus. Now is just one of the great streaming programs that you can enjoy with us here on WTOL 11 Plus. Another is WTOL 11 Vault with Dan Cummins. And this week, we are headed back to 1993. Tony Pacos was king, but the food scene stretched way beyond East Toledo. Toledo's diversity wasn't just something to be proud of. It was also delicious.
On a Hungarian side of town, Tony Pacos, greatest Hungarian hot dogs with chili peppers, 35 cents, and a cold beer.
They've been making Tony Pacos hot dogs at Front and Consol in East Toledo for 61 years. Generations of Toledoans have grown up on Pacos, and it's a must-see attraction for out-of-towners. Stars from Hollywood, politicians from Washington, and sporting legends continue a tradition of autographing Pacos hot dog buns. The restaurant is now marketing a line of its unique Hungarian-flavored foods, but it's the hot dogs that remain the signature of Pacos.
You can get a hot dog, you can get a hamburger anywhere, you can get a steak anywhere, but you can only get a Tony Pacos hot dog in Toledo, Ohio.
Mancy's is just one of the city's top-notch steakhouses. The family-owned restaurant has been serving up its top-of-the-line fare since 1921. For authentic Italian foods like calzone, lasagna, and minestrone soup, Toledoans can choose from restaurants like Dominic's. Celebrities often make a stop at Dominic's during visits here. Known for its margaritas, nachos, and tacos, Loma Linda's is one of dozens of fine Mexican restaurants in the Toledo area.
One of the things that makes Toledo stand out as a restaurant town is the diversity. Immigrants from all over the world have brought a slice of their culture to restaurants like the Beirut.
The Middle Eastern cuisine at Beirut includes fattoush, hummus, kibbeh, chicken shawarma, or tawuk. Lebanese restaurants like the Beirut were first known mainly in Toledo's Lebanese community, but now have a wide following.
Toledo is a very tough restaurant town. It's got many good restaurants and not too many. The customer base isn't very large, and it makes the restaurants fight for their life.
A taste for the Orient, Jing Xuan in West Toledo offers authentic Szechuan, Hunan, and Mandarin dishes. Toledo also has fine Korean, Indian, Thai, and Japanese restaurants. They say if you rub Buddha's belly at Jing Xuan, good fortune will be yours. Toledo has the good fortune of having scores of great restaurants.
Toledo is all of those are great, and
Yeah.
some are still around, Mancy's, for example, but I love Mexican food. I think this area is blessed with some wonderful Mexican restaurants.
Absolutely. I mean, you have your pick, and all of them offering something a little bit different in every single one that you go to.
Famous thing, a few years ago I was told, yeah, we'd like to go to this Mexican restaurant, blah, blah, and somebody goes, yeah, but their food's horrible. I get, that's not the point. Who cares? It's the margaritas, stupid.
Love seeing Labib Hajar there. They have been doing it great at the Beirut for so many years, and Biblo's over on Reynolds Road. So a great touch. You can catch the full episode of the latest WTOL 11 Vault with Dan Cummins next in just 3 minutes right here on WTOL 11 Plus.
Well, finally tonight, how about an animal story to make you smile? Check out these brown bears at a zoo in the UK. They're beating the heat there, much like many of us were doing this weekend, laying by the pool and eating some popsicles. Their names, Cinderella, Manna, Minnie, and Naya, and they all got some special flavored ice blocks to chill out.
Beating the heat.
Yeah, I don't think any Pabst Blue beer cheese flavors are ice cream popsicles are over there.
Don't
Maybe
tempt me, all right?
Yeah.
We got that lake breeze yesterday that came through.
You noticed it immediately.
Yeah.
Mid to late afternoon into the evening, kind of flushed us about 5 to 8 degrees cooler, and it was just like that. Really kind of continued into today. Weather-wise tonight, we are going to be dry back in the 60s. If you like the windows open, could be an opportunity